York State Racing Parimutuel Wagering and Breeding Law, Section 102, provides the New York State Gaming Commission shall consist of 7 members appointed by the governor by and with the advice and consent of the Senate. 6 members having been confirmed by the New York State Senate affords the commission the ability to establish a quorum and undertake action. This present meeting of the commission is now called to order. Ms. Secretary, will you please call the roll?
John Crotty.
Here.
Mark Aaron.
Present.
Peter Machete.
Here.
John Baclemba.
Here.
Barry Sample.
Here.
Todd Snyder.
Here.
Ms. Secretary, will you please have the record reflect that a quorum of qualified members are present, thus enabling the transaction of business. Commissioner Snyder is participating by telephone. Please note that his appearance is not for the purposes of quorum establishment or for voting. The record should also reflect that there is two-way audio and visual communications established between the 2 meeting locations. I would also like to note that Counsel Ed Burns is joining us by telephone. In case his communication fails, we also have with us on telephone Commission Attorneys Heather McCarn and Rick Goodell. Chairman Guerin?
Right. Thank you very much, Rob, and good morning. Thank you all, commissioners, for joining us and for our commission staff. I regret I can't be there with you at Saratoga, but I appreciate the opportunity to join due to my duties here that preclude my attendance. Why don't we begin with the consideration of the minutes from our meeting on July 28th, 2018. The minutes from that meeting conducted on the 28th have been provided to members in advance. At this time, I'd like to ask members if there are any edits, corrections, or amendments.
No.
Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please let the record reflect that the minutes were adopted as circulated. Next, we turn to our Executive Director for his report.
Thank you. As I mentioned at our last meeting, the Gaming Facility Location Board had established the dates of both applicant presentations and public comment events. Since the locations were not yet finalized, I'd like to review the proceedings in general, and I apologize for any repetition from last month. The applicant presentations will take place in Albany at the Empire State Plaza Meeting Room 6 on September 8th and September 9th. The Gaming Facility Location Board has issued a guidance document that outlines what is expected of each of the applicants and provided an order of presentation. The public comment events have also been finalized. There are 3 dates, 1 in each region. On September 22nd, the Albany region, or the Capital region, will be conducted at the Holiday Inn Turf on Wolf Road. The following day, on September 23rd, the Mid-Hudson Catskills region will be conducted at Grandview on Rinaldi Boulevard in Poughkeepsie. And the final day for the Eastern Southern Tier region will be conducted on September 24th in Ithaca at the Hotel Ithaca. The Gaming Facility Location Board will today issue a guidance document that outlines the protocols for each of the public comment events. The board fully anticipates that these public comment events to extend all day and into the evening to accommodate individuals who otherwise might be unable to attend during the working day. For those unable or unwilling to attend, written comments will also be accepted. I think it's important to note that each of the 5 days worth of presentations and hearings are open to the public and will be web streamed with the video of it archived on the Gaming Facility Location Board's webpage. You may have also heard several weeks ago that the board disqualified one applicant, the Florida Acquisition Corporation, which had sought to develop a facility in the town of Florida, Montgomery County. In short, staff found that the Florida Acquisition Corporation failed to file the required materials and objectively failed to meet threshold application requirements. This leaves 16 applications, 3 in the Eastern Southern Tier region, 4 in the Capital region, and 9 in the Catskills Hudson Valley region. I also want to mention that as a promotion for the New York State Fair, which opens today in Syracuse, anyone purchasing $10 in lottery draw games within a 32-county region surrounding the fairgrounds will receive a trailer ticket that essentially says, fill out the back of the ticket, bring it to the lottery building at the fair, and you can enter a special drawing. For the length of the fair, the lottery will be conducting a drawing every day at 5 p.m. at the New York State Lottery Players Pavilion, which is located next to the Times Square Tower. We will be rewarding a variety of New York State prize packs. In addition to scratch-off tickets and lottery subscriptions, there will be daily drawings that include highlights of the state's wine industry and various recreational offerings. To conclude, one item of potential interest, it's my understanding that amendments to the first draft of proposed national model uniform drug rules that were circulated for industry comment will be published in the state register within the next 30 days. This is a necessary component in the Commission's adoption of national model uniform drug rules. And we eagerly look forward to its publication. Chairman?
Great. Thank you very much, Rob, for that report. Any follow-up from the commissioners? Any questions? Great. Thank you very much. Well, let's turn to rulemaking. New York State Racing Parimutuel Wagering and Breeding Law 1.19 authorizes the Commission to promulgate rules and regulations that it deems necessary to carry out its responsibilities. To that regard, the Commission will from time to time promulgate rules and rule amendments pursuant to the State Administrative Procedure Act. Today we have 3 rulemaking items for consideration. I've asked Rob to outline the proposals. Rob.
Thank you. Item 4A regards a readoption of rules pertaining to casino gaming facility requests for application and gaming facility license application. If you recollect, on March 31st, the Commission promulgated emergency rules prescribing both forms for the request for application and forms to consider and process applications for gaming facility licenses. By publication in the State Register on July 16th, the Commission extended the emergency adoption and issued a notice of proposed rulemaking. The public comment period for the proposed rulemaking will not expire until August 30th. Thus, the permanent adoption is not ripe for consideration today. The emergency rules, however, expire on August 25th. The text of the rules has not changed since the initial emergency adoption on March 31st, and to date, the Commission has received no public comment in regard to the rulemaking. Accordingly, for Commission consideration is readoption of Part 5300 as emergency rules, with such readoption to be filed with the Department of State prior to the expiration of the current emergency rules.
Any questions from the commissioners on the readoption of the emergency rules pertaining to the gaming facility request for applications and the gaming facility license application? May I have then, hearing none, may I have a motion to repropose rules pertaining to gaming facility requests for applications and gaming facility license applications?
So moved.
Motion's been made. Second?
Second.
Great. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Great. The motion carries. Rob?
Items 4B and 4C are companion pieces. Item 4B is consideration of rules for permanent adoption. Specifically, on May 29th, the Commission promulgated emergency rules to implement Part F of Chapter 58 of the laws of 2014, which, as required by federal law, restricts the acceptance of federal public assistance benefits distributed by the state at designated types of businesses, including liquor stores, adult entertainment establishments, casinos, racetracks, off-track betting facilities, and commercial bingo facilities. The Commission also proposed the adoption of these rules as permanent rules. The notice of emergency rulemaking and proposed rulemaking were published in the June 18th State Register. No public comment has been received in regard to the notice of proposed rulemaking, and the public comment period has ended. The Commission may now consider the rules for permanent adoption. If adopted, the rules would become effective as permanent rules upon their publication in the state register, which would occur at the earliest on September 10th. Therefore, item 4C, the commission should consider the readoption of these rules as emergency rules in order to prevent the rules from expiring while the effective date of the permanent rules is pending. Accordingly, for the commission consideration is the proposed adoption of rules pertaining to sanctions for the unlawful acceptance of public assistance benefits at certain facilities as a permanent rule, and readoption of rules pertaining to sanctions for the unlawful acceptance of public assistance benefits at certain facilities as an emergency rule, with such readoption to be filed with the Department of State prior to the expiration of the current emergency rule.
Great, thank you, Robin. So to commission members, any questions on the proposed adoption of rules pertaining to the sanctions for unlawful acceptance of public assistance benefits at certain facilities as a permanent rule, or, as Rob has outlined, the readoption of rules pertaining to sanctions for the unlawful acceptance of public assistance benefits at certain facilities as an emergency rule? Any discussion or questions? Okay, well, may I entertain a motion then to readopt of rules pertaining to sanctions for the unlawful acceptance of public assistance benefits at certain facilities as emergency rules?
So moved.
Motion has been made, seconded.
Second.
Great. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, then we'll call a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Great, thank you. May I now have a motion to adopt rules pertaining to the sanctions for the unlawful acceptance of public assistance benefits at certain facilities as permanent rules?
So moved.
The motion has been made, seconded.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Adjudications are next.
I'm sorry.
Adjudications are next.
Right. We'll turn to the agenda now, moving forward on adjudication. The Commission has two hearing officer reports for consideration today that Rob will outline the first case.
On September 13th, 2013, the judges at Saratoga Gaming and Raceway disqualified the horse Cash Me Out for several racing infractions, ultimately placing the horse from first place to fifth place. After the horse's owner, Michael Traylor, appealed, a hearing was conducted on February 27th. Post-hearing briefs were submitted on June 10th and replies were submitted thereafter. The hearing officer's report and recommendation were delivered to the Commission Secretary on June 30th. The hearing officer recommended that the Commission sustain the judge's placement decision. At a meeting conducted pursuant to the judicial or quasi-judicial proceedings exemption of the New York Public Officers Law, Section 108.1, the Commission contemplated this matter.
Thank you, Rob. The Commission duly deliberated and considered this matter and determined upon a vote of 6-0 to adopt the hearing officer's report and recommendations. Our next matter, Rob.
On August 28th, 2013, the judges at Batavia Downs disqualified the horse Hurricane Keely Nora for interfering with another horse in the third race. Hurricane Keely Nora finished the race in fourth place, but was placed sixth. After Anna Urenka, owner of Hurricane Keely Nora, appealed, Commission Counsel moved for summary judgment returnable January 9th, 2014. Ms. Urenka was served with a notice of motion but did not appear or submit any opposition. The hearing officer's report and recommendations were delivered to the Commission Secretary on June 24th. The hearing officer found that there was no dispute of material fact and recommended that the Commission sustain the judge's placement decision. At a meeting conducted pursuant to the judicial or quasi-judicial proceedings exemption of the New York Public Officers Law, Section 108.1, the Commission considered this matter.
Thank you, Rob. The Commission duly deliberated and considered this matter and determined upon a vote of 6-0 to adopt the hearing officer's report and recommendations. That concludes our adjudications section for today's agenda, and we now turn to any new and old business. Is there any new business for commissioners to consider? Okay. Hearing none, the next item on the formal agenda is old business. I invite any commissioners to raise any old business for consideration. Hearing none, okay. Well, to administrative matters, the next date for our scheduled meeting is September 22nd. And as we've heard today, that date would conflict with the Gaming Facility Locations Board, their Albany applicant presentations. So given that, I propose that we would all commissioners check your calendars and schedules to see if either September 29th or September 30th would be convenient, and to advise Ms. Buckley of your availability, given that conflict. Okay, well that concludes our formal published agenda. But before we conclude today, I'd like to recognize the attendance, I believe there at the meeting, of NYRA President Chris Kay. It's my understanding that several of you will be headed to the Saratoga Racecourse this afternoon. I very much regret I will not be with you, but I thank Mr. Kay in advance for his hospitality that he's extended for the commissioners' visit. And lastly, do any commissioners have any other items that they would like to present for consideration? Right. Well, hearing none, this meeting of the New York State Gaming Commission then is adjourned. Thank you all very much for joining us.